Morning, good afternoon, good evening, whatever part of the day it may be for you and whatever part of the world you may be. This is Dr. Don with your daily LightPoint. As you can see, I am driving right now, so bear with me as I won't be looking at the camera. But I wanted to share a daily LightPoint. We've been unpacking this idea around leadership identity, and yesterday we talked about self-awareness, right? How do I connect with an identity for myself as a leader if I'm not self-aware of my tendencies, my behaviors, my impact? Well, today I want to pivot and talk about identity through the lens of its core meaning. Now, we already defined identity in the context of leadership identity. I want to talk about the word identity because I believe there's a lot that we can glean from the word. The word identity comes from Latin origin, and its core Latin meaning, ident, is rooted in the premise of the word same or the same. Means the same. Identity in its core Latin origin means the same. And that for me is very deep. So our leadership identity means under any circumstance, good, bad, or indifferent, what are those same traits, tendencies, behaviors that you project? Because that makes up your true identity, or what, and most importantly, what people experience as your identity as a leader, the same. So for me, that is consistency. So now we get to really challenge, because this week we've been reflecting on this identity, how we want to be seen as a leader and how we see ourselves as a leader. But if we can't connect consistency, continuity, sameness behind that identity, it's not truly our identity. So now that gets after how true and consistent are we really in how we engage, in how we interact, and how we make decisions. Can we validate our identity through our consistency? When people are looking and when they're not looking, how do we show up? How do we behave? What do we think? Because our leadership identity and what underpins that, our leadership mindset, is one that requires consistency in our assertions and our beliefs relative to what it means to show up to be a leader. Consistency, the same. Do I treat people fairly and consistently? The same. Not in the context of equivalence, in the context of no matter our environment, no matter our circumstances, we remain consistent in who we are, in our core values, in our beliefs as a leader. Leadership identity requires sameness. You know, I always joke around, but actually it remains true. I am always a bit bothered when the core of what I believe makes up my favorite restaurant experience begins to falter. You know, you go for those couple core items that you just love, you just lean in on. You expect a certain standard of service because you just love the service and everyone's friendly and they're engaging and attentive. You know, the environment, you expect the environment to be clean and hygienic and welcoming. And when those things start to falter, your identity that you've ascribed to that establishment starts to shift. Your perception of the establishment starts to shift. And sometimes it's so subtle and it happens over time because what we've attached to our experience is the sameness, the consistency. It doesn't mean a new item pops up on the menu and and we get upset by it. No, I love new items and the restaurants that I love when they experiment with different things, or the season changes, so they want to experiment with items that are relevant to the season. Those are exciting things. So as leaders, sameness doesn't mean that we become stagnant. Sameness doesn't mean that we don't explore new ideas, concepts, thought processes. Sameness is at the core of who we are and how we show up as a leader. Sameness in the context of fairness and equity where it matters. So I challenge you today, when you think about this concept of leadership identity for yourself and for others, look at it through the lens of sameness, at the heart of the word identity, and ask yourself, what are those areas behaviorally, my traits, my beliefs, my values, that must remain sane, consistent, foundational to how I show up as a leader? Because that's where you can truly attach this confidence in, this is my leadership identity. With that being said, thanks for tuning into our daily Light Point. Real leaders, real talk, real time.